I'm Billy S, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about my least favourite boss arenas in the original Dark Souls. Because for every well-designed boss arena that feels aesthetically pleasing or fair to fight in, there are other boss arenas that have an uninspired visual design or don't feel remotely enjoyable to fight within. A few weeks ago, I covered my best boss arenas in Dark Souls, which was a video with a solid ratio of aesthetics and gameplay, as sometimes the best boss arenas just need to look visually stunning, or just have good gameplay. But for the worst boss arenas, it almost always comes down to the gameplay itself and how that arena interacts with a boss's moveset. So be sure to parry that subscribe button to stay up to date on all my future videos, and let's jump right in. My top 8 worst boss arenas in Dark Souls. Let me know your pick for worst arena down below. At number 8, we have Seath the Scaleless's arena, found at the end of the Crystal Cave. Now, of all the boss arenas on today's list, Seath is the one that I was debating on whether to include on the list. Mainly because compared to the rest of the arenas I'll be discussing, his glaring issue is more of a me thing than anything else. See, Seath is a very big lad. He takes up a lot of real estate within his arena, especially those large tails that you'll quickly come to despise. If you want one of the rarest items in the game, the Moonlight Greatsword, you need to cut off the tail on his back, and this arena, plus Seath's constant thrashing and circling due to his AI, makes this a very difficult task. When I think about this arena, I can only visualize getting stuck against the wall of the cavern as he sweeps me along with his tails as he tries to face the player, which, let's be real, drove me up the wall. There's a reason why I only tried to get this weapon once for my 100% run. I'd also say that I'm just not a fan of how Seath's crystal attacks look when paired with the lighter crystal textures of the arena, but that lends itself more to the visual aesthetics than anything, and the fault is more so with Seath than the arena itself. Because the actual cavern is rather pretty. Crystal Cave is a stunning vista that feels completely unique compared to the rest of the game. We've also got the Immortal Crystal, which, while perhaps the thinnest piece of jewelry I've ever seen, always feels satisfying to smash no matter the run. Seath's arena isn't that offensive, I just really dislike the way the arena interacts with Seath's mechanics and AI specifically, and that's what lands it at the start of today's video. At number 7, we have the Moonlight Butterfly arena, found in the first half of Darkroot Garden. Now, I'll be the first person to say I do enjoy when From Software attempts to be more experimental with their arena design. Their design philosophy in both Demon's Souls and Dark Souls was less about designing intricate boss movesets, and instead weaving simpler attacks into whatever challenge each arena presented. And the Moonlight Butterfly was no exception. It's a long rectangular bridge that spans from the boss door all the way to a closed-off tower. There's no way to fall off, with the bridge having railings on all sides, instead with the focus being on the player needing to dodge the incoming boss's magic attacks. I love the aesthetic here, but that is a given due to my adoration of Darkroot Garden. The ancient stone ruins that are paired with the gorgeous patches of greenery and flowers, while the entire area is drenched in this perpetual night sky, it's a perfect aesthetic. My problem here, once again, comes from how the boss fight just doesn't feel that entertaining when it comes to the arena design. The Moonlight Butterfly fires out blasts of magic at regular intervals, staying out of sight, out of mind, and the only way to avoid the attacks is to dodge left or right. On a rectangular bridge though, this becomes mind-numbingly boring, leading to a sense of no challenge. The Taurus Demon also had a somewhat similar boss arena, though obviously with a little more space to move, and ultimately felt far more engaging because of it and its moveset. Moonlight Butterfly, as the kids would say, is just trying to reheat Taurus Demon's nachos and doesn't really succeed. There's nothing in the arena to interact with to make the fight progress faster, and it just comes down to a waiting game that feels mind-numbingly annoying. Sometimes it's what an arena doesn't do that hurts it just as much as what an arena does do, and this aesthetically pleasing battlement fails to offer anything of note to stay off of today's list. At number 6, we have the Stray Demon Arena, which can be found back at the Northern Undead Asylum. Let's get the positives out of the way first, because this arena certainly has a few of them. Firstly, I love that this is an arena that can be seen from the very start of the game. Look to the right when leaving your starting cell, and you'll see the stray demons stomping around in his arena, giving the player this knowledge that, hey, this guy is here, maybe you should remember this. Of course, by the time you return to the asylum, you've almost certainly forgotten about this boss and his arena, leading to a nice surprise as you go, oh, I remember you. I also think this arena is the perfect size for the stray demon. Yes, his AoE attacks can be a little frustrating if you don't have the awareness needed to not get blocked into a corner, but I managed to beat the stray demon at a fairly low level last time I played, and part of that was due to how correctly sized I felt the arena itself was. The main problem I have is that in order to enter the arena, you need to trigger a breakable floor in the middle of the boss arena for the Asylum Demon. But in doing this, you cause yourself to fall through the floor, and what does this leave you with? Required fall damage. The entrance to a boss arena is just as important as the arena itself, and I'm a very firm believer that forcing the player to take damage when entering a boss arena is almost always piss poor game design. The only exception in recent memory being Salt and Sanctuary's final boss, where taking the damage forces your character into a kneeling position, which is fitting for the lore of that game's antagonist. Dark Souls does not have that excuse, and when the Stray Demon is already a fairly tough boss in terms of damage output, especially if you fight him in either the early or mid game, it just feels unfair that you have to burn one of your Estus flasks just to get yourself on an even playing field with the boss. But hey, at least the nearest bonfire to this arena is just a few steps away. It would be unhinged of a boss fight to make you run through half of an endgame level only to hit you with forced fall damage, right? Right? At number 5, we have the Demon Fire Sage arena, found towards the end of the Demon Ruins. Long-term viewers know that the Fire Sage is one of my least favourite bosses in the series. He's a reskin of a reskin, and isn't even the proper boss of the Demon Ruins, so why put him there in the first place? It feels like his arena would have been more fitting for a Titanite demon mini-boss enemy of some sort, and why do I say that? Because his arena is so bland and barren of anything of interest. It's a large hall with bland textures that don't pop in the slightest. At most, you have the tree branches that we know extend from Lost Izalith, and here they're brittle and ready to snap at a swing of the boss's hammer or a roll from the player, except that's a fucking lie. While the Fire Sage is an easy boss, the arena actively tries to hamper both you and the boss you're fighting in a way that makes it unfun for both parties. From his part, there are potential moments where he can get stuck behind certain routes, causing his AI to not know what to do for brief moments. While from our part, the routes all have their own hitboxes, and it's a literal fucking dice roll on whether you'll be able to roll or walk over one, or whether it'll be high enough to keep you blocked in and unable to escape a boss's attack. The arena shouldn't feel cramped, it's got a lot of space, and yet somehow I feel like I have nowhere to run, and it can lead to a few cheap deaths that made my eyes roll into my sockets. At least with the Stray Demon, once you deal with the forced fall damage, the arena is fair and open, allowing for opportunities to easily avoid his deadly AoEs. Not so with the Fire Sage, who aims to frustrate with those damned roots and every opportunity, while not even providing an arena with a decent aesthetic. At number 4, we have the Gravelord Nito arena, found at the end of the Tomb of the Giants. It's such a genuine shame to see Nito this low in the arena rankings, but I can't defend what I don't enjoy despite the genuinely awesome aesthetics. Nito's arena is coated in this dark film of water, while the purples and greys of the tomb really set the vibe for this character's overall presence. His giant coffin in the far corner is one of the most impressive set pieces in the game, and I'm glad we can enjoy this boss arena by warping in from the catacombs if we feel like it, because taking the regular entrance only leads to a world of pain. Imagine running through an entire level of pitch black platforming where you need a lantern or headpiece piece in order to see, likely losing multiple Estus to the skeletons and their skeleton dogs along the way, only to run into the room with pinwheel spam and skeleton babies where you'll likely lose more Estus, only to then find out that the boss arena entrance requires you to take forced fall damage as you drop in, another Estus lost, only for you to stand up and get assaulted by a host of regular skeletons that you can only permanently kill if you have a blessed weapon, and if you leave the entrance, you trigger larger, more deadly skeletons to come kill you from the back of the arena, all while Nito is likely spamming his Gravelord's sword ranged attack that has you impaled from the ground if you don't know to time your dodge to his scream. While you can make the case for the skeletons that bringing a blessed weapon is part of the challenge and fair to the fight, I'd argue we don't need both groups of skeletons. Cut one group, either the small ones or the large ones, and I'll concede, but nobody can defend the forced fall damage after an incredibly long boss run back, because all it does is make your life that little bit harder in a fight where you're about to be ganked by minions before the boss even reaches you. I dread fighting Nito, not because of Nito himself, but because of everything surrounding him. His run back, his boss arena, his minions, it all just fails to inspire, and that's such a shame for an insanely well-designed character. At number 3, we have the Capra Demon Arena, found at the end of Lower Undead Burg. Though I'm going to shock a lot of my viewers here, I'm going to be brave and say that I don't think the concept of the Capra Demon fight is that bad. A cramped city alleyway with a demon running loose and his 2 demonic pets he took for walkies. Under the right circumstances, I genuinely think this fight could be a lot more fair. The main problems come from 2 factors, the cramped arena space and the dogs. The dogs are always going to get flack because Soulsborne players have an allergic reaction to anything breathing in the boss room that isn't the boss itself, and they have to be one of the more annoying enemy types in the series. But they're only a problem because of the cramped arena. When you enter, your vision is obscured heavily by the fog gate, so that by the time you see what's ahead of you, the dogs are already jumping and the Capra Demon is getting ready to rush you from behind them. Thus, fail a single roll and you get flattened like a pancake. I do appreciate this arena letting you run up the stairs in the back and onto the small archway to funnel the dogs and the boss, but this doesn't feel very dynamic to me. What I would do to make this arena better is give it a little more depth and start the enemies and boss a little further away from the door. This gives the player a couple more seconds to react before the fight starts, allowing you to plan with a better reaction time. If it were me making this fight, I'd actually have the Capra Demon fully hold back until he's either approached or both dogs die, similar to how Commander Niall works in Elden Ring with his summons. This way, you can handle the dogs without the boss making things too frustrating this early in the game. But hey, that's my pitch, that's not for everyone. It's a shame, I really like the arena aesthetic, Lower Undead Burg being this lower city vibe with alleys and greenery and little townhouses, it's so D&D core. I do find it insane that this is one of the boss fights that gets the most referenced in future games though, with the Lost Bastille encounter post Belfry Gargoyles in Dark Souls 2, as well as the Omen Killers in Elden Ring, and they always keep the dogs. Maybe FromSoft are just trolling us after all. At number 2, we have the Centipede Demon Arena, found at the end of the Demon Ruins. Now this is a fun one, as if you're playing the original version of Dark Souls, not remastered, you have to deal with the eye-searing lava effect that coats this entire portion of the game with a flashbang for your eyes. That immediately is trauma, and I'm glad it was fixed in the remaster to look like actual magma, though no matter version of the game you play on, you have to deal with the inevitable damage your character will have to take if they want a chance at winning this fight. If you're crazy, you can choose to fight on that little slither of land by the entrance. There, you'll get ranged attacked to death by the centipede, as he'll just refuse to approach you, which you can't do anything about because in either direction, the walkable arena is just as thin. Your only sane option here is to turn to the right and jump over 2 large lava pools to make your way to a large area with no lava present. This would be fine if you could avoid the lava damage on the way, but I almost always clip the ground in Dark Souls 1 really hurts you with lava damage, and the only way to negate it is with the orange charred ring that this specific boss is holding on to. You can technically cut off the part of the body that has the ring during the fight, which would make a rematch really simple, but look, that's just not gonna happen. Centipede Demon is a tough boss in terms of moveset, and at least for me, readability, but then combine an arena that is just mostly lava, which you can't fight on, and the only proper area you can safely fight at being hidden away around a corner, and this arena just irritates the life out of me. Why couldn't we emerge onto that large patch of ground before the lava? Did the developers think that doing 2 jumps to reach it while lighting our feet on fire was an engaging and interesting challenge? I don't really see it that way. I slandered forced fall damage upon entering an arena, but almost forced lava damage in Dark Souls is even worse, and if it wasn't for our number 1 being the most infamous arena in the series, Centipede Demon could have taken that cake. Thank God we get to fight him in Night Rain with a normal arena though, so we can enjoy the moveset, because Dark Souls 1 really ruins his energy, and it's just down to how that arena was designed. At number 1, we have the Bed of Chaos arena, found at the end of Lost Izalith. It's very rare in Soulsborne that the boss arena and the boss are one and the same, because yes, the Bed of Chaos does attack you with sweeping branches and flaming branches and the very occasional firestorm, but the real challenge of this fight is the arena. Once you shatter the first weak spot of the boss, the arena will begin to crumble, with holes beginning to appear as you approach them. Effectively, you don't know your path through the arena until you're right up against a potential pit. And the problem there is that if you're taking it slow, because running fast will just get you immediately killed, you're going to inevitably get hit by one of the boss's many sweeping attacks without even realizing it, because you need to keep your path in view, but also the boss's arms in view, which is really hard. The only plus is that once the floor falls, it remains fallen on future attempts, so the boss arena is dynamic and stays in its new state regardless of how you perform in the fight. In which case, why not just, after destroying the first weak spot, have the floor crumble and all the pitfalls appear immediately? That way, rather than worrying about falling into the void, you can focus on, oh, this is the new path, let's run down it while dodging the boss. It'd still be painful, badly designed, and most players would still call this the worst boss in the game, but at least everyone would be on an even playing field the moment the boss starts to get rowdy. Combine how easy it is to fall victim to this arena with the fairly lengthy boss run back, and you have a boss arena that really fails to achieve what it sets out to be. Though I do love the visual aesthetic of the Bed of Chaos and the way the roots spread through this chamber and out into Lost Izalith like a deadly tree. And I've got no complaints about the final jump or the roll spam to the Chaos Bug. In fact, I'd say that's my favourite part of the fight and the arena itself, as you break brittle branches to reach your foe. There's no forced fall damage or bullshit lava damage, because the Bed of Chaos simply forgoes damage and instead goes for the kill with all of the arena's hazards. For being a boss where the arena itself is the boss fight, the fact it failed to capture anybody's love while playing proves that it failed its job, and ultimately is the worst boss arena in Dark Souls. I still have a soft spot for it though. And that's my list. Which boss arena is your least favourite? Let me know down below, and be sure to parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my future videos. I want to give a shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. You guys are amazing, thank you so much. You guys get early access to future videos, you get a shout out in the description and at the end of videos as well. There's a Dark Souls 3 Soul Level 1 playthrough that is just for them, and I'm thinking of doing a Kazan New Game Plus playthrough as well for my viewers, so that's gonna be pretty fun, members. So I'll see you guys next time for another video. Adios.